Oh shit. Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
What's up, everybody? A little scuff there. But good to see everybody in the house. I'm back, Force Andrew Esquire, legal mindset teacher to being your own judge. A little bit early today. I moved it up a little bit because I was done with the fast facts. I just want to get to you guys. We're going to talk about Raja Jackson's arrest, his charging today. A little bit of a victory lap because we got it right. And if you guys like getting it right, smash that like button. We may also tag on at the end some extra stuff because I just want to go through some smaller news items, which are just kind of like follow-ups to other stuff or just comments for stuff, because this is a shorter topic. It may not take a full even 30 minutes to get through, but we're going to get through that today. And any other off-topic, you guys have any off-topic stuff, we'll get to that at the end. So if you guys have any other questions for any of the things, you want me to comment on, I got this nice water here, so I'm going to stay hydrated today. Just let me know, and we'll handle that towards the end. But it's good to see everybody here today. I want to do something. We've been covering a lot of the U.S. political stuff, post-Charlie Kirk stuff. I want to do something different, kind of mix it up today. So we'll talk about all that. And happy Saturday to everybody. Happy weekend. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing great out there. Not being arrested for felonies. Because that is not good for anybody. But it's good to see everybody piling in today. Make sure you smash the like button and all that good stuff. Roy says, what's the reason for the RKI? That one is, there's a good reason for that. Number one, it's because I'm trying to get some information vetted. And before I give you that information, I need it vetted. So that's the issue. That's why I moved it back. So I'm sorry about delaying that one. I did not intend that. But with most things, I try to be careful with it, especially with RKI stuff, because with RKI stuff, a lot of people watch my videos and rely on them, and they generate, whenever I do a Ramsey Khalid Ismail, a Johnny Somali stream, there's about a dozen other channels that copy my content. So if it's not correct, very correct, there will be misinformation. So I am aware of that. And because I am aware of that, I take my duty to provide you guys with information very seriously. So, and I will issue, if I'm ever wrong about something, I'll issue a retraction either here or on X, oh, hey, by the way, this was wrong. Right. So I'm always there. Yes, there's a PP today. Yes, there's PP today. Duncan Idaho said I caught a live. What? Yes, you did catch a live. You did catch a live. So I will see now. Do you think so? So I'm going to ask a question. Did you guys think Raja would actually be charged? Yes or no? Did you think Raja Jackson would actually be charged? Yes or no? I want to know if you guys thought, because I think a lot of people thought he would not be charged, right? Would not be charged. You thought RKI looked buff in the thumbnail. That's not RKI. That is definitely not RKI. He's not built like that. Okay. So let's jump right into it with the PP today. I'm going to whip it out. It's short, but it's powerful. It's powerful. We also got some video, a little bit of video today. So obviously Raja Jackson charged. Now, in case you guys were sleeping under a rock, in case you didn't know, Raja Jackson seen here was, just a while ago in hot water under police investigation in LA. The LAPD were investigating him for attacking Psycho Stu while he was down, kind of absolutely pummeling him while he was unable to fight back. He was just completely flat here, just like limp here. And he was just beating him. I think it was 10 to 11 blows, they say, while he was unconscious. It was a lot. And really hard to watch. One of these things that's really difficult to watch. Now, a lot of people were speculating that he wouldn't be charged or that he would get off the hook or whatever. There was people in the wrestling school that weren't, helping. There were other people that were commenting on it. A lot of commentary on this. And people were saying attempted murder. That is not what was charged here. That was not what was charged here. However, he was indeed arrested. Now, I'm not going to play the video of this because this is a TMZ video. And if you guys know anything about TMZ, I learned this back in the Amber Heard days. They will copyright strike everybody and their mother and their cousin and their uncle. So I'm not going to play the video, but there's a video of him being walked out in the morning on the 19th to be arrested. So yeah, it was definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. So Raja was arrested. To give some background here, on the morning of September 19th, he was charged with felony battery with serious bodily harm. So this is one of the ones that I called. And now I knew that a lot of people, and I see people in the chat right now saying, F that, this was attempted murder, this was more. I told you guys that attempted murder, number one, the elements are very difficult, and the prosecutor may have trouble convincing a jury, and battery was a layup. Now, you're going to learn that they did not charge him with the lightest version. They actually charged him with a more severe version. And there's a chance he gets up to 6 years in jail. And I'm going to explain exactly how. My fast facts video is not clickbait, is indeed accurate, right? It's not 52 years in jail. It's up to 6, possibly. Let me read some of these super chats where we keep. Oh, no, actually, no, let me read these first. So Raja has already paid bond. So he's already out. So he's already paid bond. He's already out. Now, Rampage has previously said that he believes Raja should do some jail time and community service. So let's watch that video. I want you guys to see that, because even his dad said, hey, look, this guy deserves, Raja deserves some time. So even his dad admits, hey, no, this is something where there needs to be, there's going to be a charge and some punishment is merited.
Fuck all that. Raja, I think that he should do a little time. Do a little community service, and go to anger management class, see some therapy.
But that goes like some people said it was attempted murder and things like that. That's not a little time.
It wasn't attempted murder because he wasn't trying to kill that guy.
So that and that's where Rampage gets off on that point, and that's apparently the prosecutors agreed with him. Apparently the prosecutor said either they agreed that he didn't meet the elements or it'd be hard to prove, but they didn't bring that charge. I'm here for the Scuff for 20. It's a small PP here for the PP Growth Fund. Thank you so much for funding that. Thank you for getting us towards the goal. Juan Ocampo says, about time. Suffer Raja, suffer in prison, bish. Thank you. Anthony for 10 says, yay, it's a good day when I can see a Legal Mindset PP live. That's right. Welcome. Enjoy the PP. Rokan Bowl Chin Blades for 50 Norwegian krona said, today I won't be chatting. I need a shower to get ready for a date, but I'm here bringing the stream into the shower. But nothing weird, I swear. Nothing weird as you watch me in the shower.
No. Wait.
Okay, good luck on the date. Don't talk about all of your mother issues and all of your past exes on the date. That's my Legal Mindset dating tip, right? That's not good. It's not good, but good luck. All right. So obviously, even Rampage said, hey, this charge is going to come. Now, let's talk about the charge itself. Let's talk about aggravated battery, because this is really at the core of what it is. That's the core of what I do on my channel, is walk you through what aggravated battery means. So aggravated battery is under California Penal Code 243, which prohibits battery causing serious bodily harm. We're going to call that aggravated battery. That's the kind of the shorter version, and I like the shorter version. Right? It doesn't need to be big. Right, especially the PP. It does not need to be big. So depending on the severity of the case, it can either be a misdemeanor or a felony. In this case, it is a felony. Oh yeah, someone else will mention, don't mention the PP on the date. That's very true. This is very true. Don't say you were just watching somebody's PP before the date. That is not going to go well for you. Anyways, seriously bodily, to go back to lawyer stuff, serious bodily injury means any impairment of someone's physical condition, regardless of whether medical treatment is necessary. So this means in California, where this is relevant, a loss of a tooth, a loss of consciousness, a cut under the eye requiring stitches, a broken tooth, wounds, eyebrow, lip requiring sutures, bone fractures, broken bones, and serious disfigurement. We have bone fractures. We have cut the lip, right? We've got missing teeth. Right, we've got a loss of consciousness, so clearly it meets the elements for this, and those are all serious things. So let's look at these elements more detail. So first is willfully and unlawfully touching the victim in a harmful and offensive way. So obviously, punching someone is harmful and offensive, especially punching them while they're unconscious. Willfully means you did it on purpose. There isn't any specific intent other than it was on purpose and not an accident. Right? Then you've got touch, which is any physical contact, including touching through the clothes. So if you're wearing a mask and someone punches you in the face, it still counts, even though they're punching the mask technically, like their flesh is not touching your flesh. But that's not what's required for touch. Touch is, hey, it can be through clothing, it can be through whatever you're wearing, right? So that's still a touch. And the next is the victim has to have serious bodily harm. Well, we looked at what that is. Obviously, loss of a tooth, bone fractures, that's gonna count. The cut lip, all that stuff is serious, right? And it might even be grave bodily injury, which we'll talk about, which would aggravate it even more. The next is you have no defense, which is typically self-defense or others. We're going to talk about the defenses in a second, but these elements are all met, right? These elements are all met. So he checks these boxes. Psycho says, Eggman wants to be a lobster. He's in love with the world's most handsome lawyer. Check out the AI video with you. It's funny. Okay, let me check it out. Let's continue with this. Defenses. So what we have here, we have self-defense, which is only possible if you have all three of these elements. So if you don't have all three of these elements, it is not going to work. It's not going to work at all. So you have to meet all three of these elements. And I don't think in any world we live in, Raja is going to be able to meet all three of these elements. I think it's going to be a very, very, very tough time for him to meet all three of these elements, because you need to believe that you're at risk of serious bodily harm. You also need to believe force was necessary to stop the harm, and you use no more force than was necessary. Let's even look at those. Number one, how the hell is an unconscious guy going to harm you? Once again, how is he going to harm you? Next, how is punching an unarmed guy going to keep him from harming you? He literally can't. He literally was out. And last, use no more force than necessary. He kept pummeling him. This is not met at all. None of these self-defense criteria are there, period. So self-defense is not going to happen at all. By the way, 78% of you think Raja is going to be actually charged. It's going to be actually charged. So we're going to get to in a second how much time you're going to think he's going to get. All right, next, there's no serious bodily injury. Well, that's not going to happen because all of his injuries were serious. None of them were less than, he has, can prove he lost a tooth. He has a cut to his lip. So he's definitely going to have serious injury. Now, he might be able to argue against grave injury. We'll talk about that, but not serious injury. He's got serious injury. And the last is, was it an accident? Accident is literally if you trip and fall on someone. If you trip and fall. This is not a trip and fall scenario at all whatsoever. So you're not going to have, I accidentally punched him in the face 10 to 11 times. That's not going to happen. So what's the sentence? So, and I'll put up a little poll here for how much time you get. So the time is potentially up to 6 years. We'll talk about that. So how much time will he get? So let's start with the poll. Let's do a couple options here. So we'll do 0 time, probation, under 1 year, over 1 year, and we'll go anything over 3 years. Actually, we'll just go with 2 years, over 2 years. If you guys think anything you think he'll get over 2 years, okay? We'll see this. Or actually, let's just put it like between over 1 up to 6. There you go. So see what you guys think. So this is not a misdemeanor. So the max here doesn't apply. Up to 1 year in jail and 1,000. This is a slap on the wrist. They actually didn't charge him with this. So to be very fair here, and to be very even here, this is not what they charged him with. So they charged him with this. So at a minimum, he faces up to 4 years in jail and a max fine of 10K, which, by the way, I think that's actually kind of minor, like the fine for what it is. But anyways, up to 4 years and 10K. However, this depends on the severity in criminal history. If you commit great bodily harm, you can get up to 6 years. So what that means is if he had a concussion, broken bones, or contusions, it can go up to 6. So I think it's possible that they could use the enhancement for great bodily harm, and they could push this up to 6 years. Potentially. I think it's potentially possible. However, you've got up to 4 here. And do I think as a first-time offender, he's going to get maximum punishment? No, probably not. Right? He's probably not going to get the very maximum punishment on the first-time offender. So what do I think? Lola, let's look at what you guys think. Over 1 up to 6 is the majority. Over 1 year, second place. Under 1 year, 18% and 14% saying 0 probation. I think it's possible to be over 1 year. I do. I'm doubting that he gets a max sentence. I'm really doubting he gets a max sentence. It's gonna be really hard to give you 6 years. However, could he get 2? Possible. I think Rampage would want him to get, and probably is pushing for a couple months. Probably not a year. Probably wants to do a couple months and some probation. I think it will be a disservice if he gets 0 time and no probation. Or sorry, 0 time and all probation. I know that it's first time offense, but that will seem like they're letting him get away with it. So he probably should do a little bit of time behind bars. I'm thinking at minimum 6 months. I think people would say, okay, that's at least he did some real time behind bars, right? And then option for probation, whatever else. And of course the fine, but the fine is so minor that fine, his dad's going to pay that in 2 seconds. He's got the money probably to pay that in 2 seconds. So I think getting some jail time is important to show people that they need to have consequences, right? Let's get here. The Scruff McDuff. It says, mindset legal. I can't sleep. You're too handsome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that for the 1,001. I'll get my soju money. Scruff McDuff also gifted 5 illegal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. So yeah, we know. I don't think a lot of you in the chat says we know he's getting away with it, and that's actually the PP. So I'll end the PP there real quick. But a lot of people say you're going to go away with it. But remember, a lot of you guys thought he wasn't even going to be charged. So there were a lot of you guys, and I mean a lot of you guys, that thought nothing was going to happen. The LAPD wasn't going to do anything. I think they know that. I think they know they have to do something, because otherwise we're going to have a look at what is a 2-tier justice system. And by the way, that's not a racial thing or anything else. That's literally hey, people with money, people with famous dads, people with XYZ get one treatment and other people don't, right? So I think they've got to have some action here. They've got to have some action. Yeah. So sorry if anything's blipping on the quality side. StreamYard's been a little bit weird, but hopefully everything's all right. But anyways, yeah, the civil lawsuit. Now the civil lawsuit is coming. People in the chat are mentioning that. The civil lawsuit could be for a lot of money, and that one they're going to have to settle. So that one is the one that is going to be absolutely massive, and that one I'm going to be waiting for. Now, if any of this is televised, whether it's the civil lawsuit that will come, or hopefully maybe they even settle beforehand, or the criminal lawsuit, we definitely will review it here on the channel. We definitely will watch it, right? That's a must watch. Jordan Joseph said, any news for Johnny Somali? We'll have an update. When do I have that scheduled? Let me double check when that's scheduled. I think that one is scheduled. I think I moved that into next week. But once again, the reason why I moved that one is because I want to vet some information. So that one, yeah, I moved it to Monday. I got to vet some information. I'm going to be working on the PP tomorrow. So yes, that is coming up. We're going to have that update on Monday. So that's why it got pushed back, because I'm vetting some information. So I want to make sure it's accurate, because with Johnny Somali, as said before, a lot of people copy my videos. A lot of people rely on my information. It gets translated in Korean. So I have to make sure it's accurate. It is scheduled. So it should go off as scheduled. Should. Cross your fingers. Right? So I got to work that PP. It's going to be a big PP, a sizable PP. But speaking of sizable, let's talk about some other news now. Guys, if you have any off-topic stuff, because this was a very short one. So I wanted to cover some stuff I covered on X, which I don't have a PP for, but I want to talk about it with you guys, right? So I want to talk about base Steak and Shake and Cracker Barrel, and then I want to talk maybe a little bit about H1B, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about those, okay? These are a little bit off-topic. I don't normally do this, but I knew this is a very short one, so let's talk about Cracker Barrel. Let's talk about H1B stuff. because that's, and I'll drop the quality here because I think some people say I'm lagging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down. We're going to go down to 720 because that might make it better for everybody. Sometimes a 1080 will be weird. Thanks for actually explaining the interwebs. That my problem. You know, I try to law explain, you know, because some people don't do law anymore, but I always do law. Ryobi said VTube model WN. The emotional cabbage is coming soon. So the emotional cabbage comes first and then we do it. We also need to get a mindset lore video done, which will happen. Pizza King says he's been charged in LA. There's no way he's going to get the max as a first-time offender. My prediction is 60 to 90 days in jail, mandatory anger management, fines, and a few years probation. That's probably right. Couple months. I mean, I could see, 6 months, but 3 months, 4 months, possible. Yeah, even 2, maybe. Yeah, sure. But it is happening. It is indeed happening. The nothing ever happens, people. It's happening. So let's talk about some base Cracker Barrel real quick. So this was something, and once again, I didn't feel like doing an entire episode on this because it's not worth it. But Cracker Barrel put up this, Steak and Shake put up this this sign, which is super based in Nashville. Fire the CEO, which is a billboard they shot up, right? Cracker Barrel stocks fall 10% because TI CEO is still there. But Cracker Barrel put up a response, an official, Steak and Shake put a response. Yes, we are responsible. So they literally did the Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones. It was me, right? Saying Cracker Barrel's board has failed its shareholders. It has spent over a decade fighting with one of its largest shareholders rather than collaborating for the good of the company. Cracker Barrel has been the forefront of the DEI movement. At the same time, it has reduced food quality and burned millions on failed acquisitions. The board is apparently more regard for DEI than ROI. Dude, this statement is freaking giga-based. This statement is so based. I love that they said this. Now we are running a proxy contest at our own expense to fire the CEO. Bilargi is doing the work left undone by the board. Fire the CEO, save Cracker Barrel. This is amazing. This is super giga-based. And I told you guys, let me go back here to my post. I said base, Steak and Shake. This is exactly the scenario I predicted where American corporations are now dividing between those who are economically suicidal and put failed policies such as DEI. But by the way, not just DEI, above business and those that still remain economically sane. You have a choice. And this is the biggest thing. You have a choice, right? So as you're making your purchases, as you're doing things, you have a choice in which companies that you deal with. So, you are able to say, hey, look, I'm not going to purchase from Cracker Barrel, right, until they make XYZ changes, and you've got other place to go, right? And you could say, hey, I'm going to go to Steak and Shake instead, because you now see the companies that get it and don't. And this is going to happen more. You're going to see this way, way, way more, right? So this is a very interesting element. The next one I want to talk about is H1B, right? And I know this is going to get some people fired up. And I did have some people complaining about this. But in case you guys didn't know, there was just an increase on the H1B visa applications for a visa fee of $100,000. Yes, $100,000. So they now are going to charge $100,000 for the H1B visa application. Now, let's see here. No picture, but it's fine. There should be a picture. But anyways, this is a huge one, right? So there's not going to be any more basic worker or 7-Eleven workers or whatever else, minimum wage workers, or even average salary workers. That's not going to work. It's going to currently be, hey, only the best and brightest. Now, one thing people mention, which I will say I would be down with, is some sort of tiered system. So I do believe there might be a space for like maybe the first H1B to be cheaper and successive ones to be more, or vary based on company size, or maybe if they have criteria. But here's my take on this, guys. There are a lot of other visa categories, right? And there are a lot of other ways and methods to bring people in, especially like the O1 if they're a skilled worker. So there still are those other pathways, and we need specific pathways for specific types of professionals. Like, for example, a lot of people brought up the medical field. Okay, well, if they've got credentials in the medical field and they're credentialed, they could be O1 or they could be a different visa pathway. So that's one big thing that can happen there. Also, once again, $100,000. A lot of people think that's a lot of money. But once again, if we're supposed to be bringing in super duper skilled people, if your salary is the salary of these workers is $200K, but they really, really need them, they're going to pay the extra $100K, right? They'd also pay $50K if it was $50K, or $25K if it was $25K, right? If they're at that level of skill, right? So that's the point. How high is their salary as it is, right? $100K for a super skilled worker, like somebody who's very advanced in whatever AI, or, if there's some type of like surgeon, they're like a neurosurgeon or something, $100K is a joke. You just pay and bring that in, right? But you would not, pay that for any routine worker, right? It wouldn't be a standard office worker, right? So that's a big thing there. Now, I know people messaged me about this. They said, oh, that's not necessarily true. It's going to kill the medical industry. Well, once again, the medical industry is the very industry that can pay people in the six figures easily. So that's my kind of thoughts on that. I just want to get those out there for you guys. Are you going to cover the D4 VD case? Let me look at that. Yeah, that's a good one. I did not know about that. Cancels tournament investigation to whoa, what? Your boy will do some research on this one. John says, I was surprised by the support for Charlie in South Korea. He was just in Korea and Japan. So yeah, he was just there. They love him. Yeah, they love him for sure. It's $100K a year, not just one time. I know. Oh, I know. Bald Eagle, I know. But once again, what I'm saying is I'm treating it like a yearly salary, right? So what that effectively does is increase the yearly salary by $100K. So what I'm saying is, if this is an employee that you would pay $200K to get, normally you'd pay an American worker $200K. Then if you want to bring somebody in paying $300K on from a company perspective, isn't that big of a deal, right? If that's the work you're going to bring in. Now, if we're talking about a lower wage, is a $50K a year worker, $60K a worker? Okay, yeah, sure, right? But is that the type of worker the program was supposed to be recruiting in the first place? And most people will say that's not the original intent. That may be how it was eventually used, right? But it's not meeting that original intent, right? Hicka gifted 10 illegal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. Let me see here. Psycho 216 says, what about an enhancement of punishment due to a training in an art meant to kill? He's a failed MMA hunter, but still trained. Once again, training is not an element. The actual damages are. So that's a very good point. And now if they'd done attempted murder, maybe that would be some sort of argument. But you know what? That really, training isn't the point. You can have an untrained person who pummels somebody, right? That the training doesn't really help. I know what you're going to get at there. I think that would go more like if you were trying to prove that, like, hey, this person could have died, right? Maybe, okay, XYZ. But with the current charge, training doesn't really matter. Now, what that would definitely mean is the self-defense would be just killed, because anybody who's trained would know what a reasonable amount of force is. So yes, that would defeat his defense, but I don't think he was ever planning to claim self-defense. I just don't think self-defense will work for Raja. I really don't. Okay. Well, this is going to be a short one because I know I started a little bit late, but I had a little bit, and I don't want to keep you guys too long if I run into topics, but I wanted to get those today. I have a lot more stuff. Another thing is, this is a very important thing to note. I did mention I'm doing more research on this right now. On a previous stream, I talked about the links between the Canadian government and funding Antifa. So I did issue a retraction on X saying, okay, the Canadian government did not directly fund Antifa. However, there's this other network, this other group called the CAHN, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, and there's currently some investigation going on. Okay, did CHAN fund Antifa? So the link being there, Canadian taxpayer to Canada, the CHN potentially to Antifa. So I'm doing some research on that because obviously it's a little bit of a misleading statement to say that Canada funded Antifa because there's that intermediary of the CHAN, kind of like USAID, where people were funding USAID and then USAID was in turn funding something else, right? So there's a link there, but hey, doing some more research into that, digging into that a little bit. So just let you guys know, I clarify stuff. And when I see something and somebody brings it up and says, okay, maybe that's not fair, I want to mention that because I don't want to ever be a venue for misinformation. So a little bit of not a retraction, but clarification there. But yeah. And if people want to say that because of the causal chain, sure, right? But just making a clarification there. I like to be very, very accurate. But anyways, guys, that's what I got for today. Let me tell you, have you talked to a ToS during the Somali trial? Yes, I always do. I always do. LJ O'Rourke gifted 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Awesome. So, guys, I will indeed be back tomorrow. Very short one for you today. I love you all. Take care, and I will catch you later. Peace.
You are coping the seething. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's you coping the seething. The truth it is all day, and now you are molding.